Hello, this is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan, Google Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, or iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Alright. Got some pretty good stuff today. We're going to start off with how wrong I was about last night. I thought the Nets would win against the Celtics, and Katie would go off. And Katie actually had a pretty good game, 27 points, but he shot terribly. And now they're down 2-0. Kyrie and Katie combined to shoot 8 for 30 from the field. And, the thing with Katie and Kyrie is they can't really be coached, Like, great coaching can elevate players and hide their flaws. Like McVay hid Jared Goff's flaws. But, you have to also... You can't only be the coach, it has to be the player willing to be coached, which I don't think Kyrie and Katie are. I think they're difficult, and that's why they can't succeed 3 years in. It's pretty much a failure so far. Unless they find a way to win this year, which I don't really see how, but they haven't lost to the Celtics yet, so I'm not going to give up on them too soon, but they played very poorly in the second half, 0 for 10, with 4 turnovers for Katie. It's crazy. 3 years ago, we thought this was going to be like a battle of 3 teams, Clippers, Lakers, and Nets. And that is simply not what it is. All those 3 teams are not doing too well. Here's a team that is doing well, though, the Bulls. DeRozan dropped 41 yesterday against the Bucks. And they won by 4, I believe. DeRozan, 41 points. But think about it. The great thing about DeRozan is, 7 years ago, we fell in love with the analytical 3-point shot. But DeRozan has always been a mid-range guy. He's never really taken in the 3. And that's how he phased out, He just didn't go with the analytics, but he still succeeded. He still averaged 20 points every year. He was just unnoticed because he wasn't shooting 3s. But in playoff basketball, it's, intensity wins. And the games become situational, which is where DeRozan is at his best. And think about it. Just because they don't do what everyone shows up for doesn't make him bad. Everyone shows up for, the 3 ball, but it doesn't mean they have to... Every player has to do that, The 2 best young players of baseball right now are Vlad Guerrero and Juan Soto. Neither of them are quick and fast or anything. And Juan Soto isn't really much of a homer guy. But they are some of the best players, even though they're not exactly what you're looking for entertainment, But, it's like Dwight Howard. He phased out because of this, because big men are getting phased out of the NBA right now. It's not working anymore. And, but that's what I like about DeRozan. He's not the perfect analytic guy, but he's still great. and he still wins. Alright, so Embiid dropped 33 and 13 and took a 3-0 lead over the Raptors now. In overtime, hit a game winner. I don't know if it's going to be a sweep. I think the Raptors could win. It's a Sixers series, though. Like, they've taken it. They've straight dominated every game. Only close one was yesterday. And, the Sixers still won that. I think they're just a better team. And, they're still figuring things out. Like, I don't expect them to win a title this year. The great thing they did is they cleaned the house, They got rid of Simmons, and got Harden. Like, it's addition by subtraction. Cleaning out the house can work if things aren't going well. And that's what it was for the Sixers. They had, Embiid and Simmons, who weren't really getting along. And then, they had to make a choice eventually. And they did that. They got rid of Simmons, who seemed to be the problem through multiple reports and multiple sources. Cleaned them out. They got Harden. Still figuring things out with that, but they play hard. They got a lot of scores. I think they can give a decent run this year, but they're not going to win. All right. Alright. So, Stefanski said that the Mayfield situation is unique and fluid. I just don't think it's a big deal that he didn't show up to, voluntary programs. That's more of a thing for new guys or rookies, Most players that have been there for a while are normally, they don't show up, And I think, honestly, if Mayfield handled the Watt situation better, it's probably the same thing with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. If they handled it better and weren't so, if they didn't, I don't know what the word is, if they weren't so, I don't know, I just feel like if he handled it a different way, if he had a better reaction, I think that's a good thing. If he had a better reaction, I think that's the word, phrase, we'd be more sympathetic towards him. But, because think about it. They just moved on and traded for Watson. Without even a thought. And the Packers did a similar thing. They just traded up, got Jordan Love in the first round, But because of their reaction to it, because they didn't handle it in a very mature way, people started to hate them more instead of feel more sympathy. So I honestly think if he handled it better, we'd be rooting for him right now. So, here we go. Booker is questionable for Game 3. I think he's actually out for 2 to 3 weeks. I think the Suns will be okay if he's out for 2 weeks. I think 3 weeks is a little excessive. They might be in a bit of trouble. I think either way they get out of this series, though. And they're built to overcome obstacles. And I think they're just a better team. Milwaukee, it's possible they lose. If Middleton is out for a bit. That's the other injury report. Because it's a pretty even series, the Bulls and Bucks. It's a pretty even series. But, if Middleton's out, that's like an X factor in the series, kind of. And that could be a significant downfall for the Bucks. Alright, so Jay Wright retired after 21 season. I don't have much to say other than a great career, you know. Villanova, under him, was always successful. They're pretty much a poor man's version of Duke, you know. Always in, like, the Final Four, Final Eight, you know. Always in that area for March Madness. If not winning, you know. Always successful. And he had a great career. Alright. So, seriously. 3 years... It's so crazy to think 3 years ago. After 2019 free agency... That was really... I think that was the free agency that kind of broke the NBA up, you know? Like, that's when it became... You know... More about going to the team that's going to win. More so than... You know, trying to figure it out with the team you have with you. But it was crazy. The Lakers, Clippers, and Nets, it was like, oh my god. We're in the duo era. They're star-studded. They're awesome. They're going to make Western Conference Finals. 3 years later, we are still waiting for the Lakers and Clippers to play in the Western Conference Finals. Never have. And the Nets, we're still waiting to even see in the Eastern Conference Finals, you know? All three are a mess. Lakers and Clippers missed the playoffs. The Lakers roster is a mess. Nets are about to lose in the playoffs again. They're probably the most successful out of these three. Or, I'll say the Nets are probably the second most successful behind the Lakers, because the Lakers actually won something, you know? Like, even though they haven't done much since then, they did win a championship, which is something the Nets and Clippers didn't do. And the Clippers aren't entirely broken, you know? They can be fixed. I think they just gotta be more public with Kawhi. Like, Kawhi's so, like, reserved and reclusive, it's like... You know, it's hard to even know what's going on in that organization. You know, they're defined by their star. Yeah, but, I think Kawhi just has to be, like, more vocal. You know, about what they should be doing, but he's not that kind of guy. He's not really a leader, you know? Here's another guy whose leadership has been questioned, and that is Kyler Murray. Chase Edmonds now came out and suggested that they lacked a winning culture. And when a QB, it's very similar to the Kyrie Katie situation. When a quarterback is willing to be coached, and a strong coach is leading the team, that's a winning culture. Mahomes willing to be coached by Andy Reid. Andy Reid a good coach. Success. Brady willing to be coached by Belichick. Belichick a great coach. Success. You know? And yesterday on The Herd, Jordan Palmer went on and said, and this guy evaluates quarterbacks for a living, so he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. He said the best quarterbacks put behavior first and talent second. Aaron Rodgers is more talented than anyone, but he doesn't have the best behavior and sometimes causes drama in the front office, and that's why he's not the best quarterback or the winningest quarterback in the league, you know? Brady wins more because he puts behavior ahead of talent. I think that's a perfect comparison. You know, and that's something Kyler Murray is going to have to do. You know? To gain respect there and win more. I really don't know what he's mad about. Like, they could have been treating him a lot worse. Alright. Here we go. Let's get some music going. Here we go. Alright.